Hi everyone, this is Ronnie Isaiah, author of Kaballah of Google, and we're back with the third part of Chapter 2. Before we get started, mentioned that the Torah has 70 faces and 4 levels of understanding, and to better understand an example of how two conflicting truths can both be correct, we look at the pronunciation of the letter Bet in the alphabet. It is known that 3 times a week or more, depending on holidays, the Torah is taken out of and it's read publicly for the congregation. The reader must not make any mistakes, not even with one letter. Not any little pronunciation of a vowel can be mistaken. If there is a mistake, the reader must go back and repeat the word correctly, or the entire sentence correctly. The European Jews used what is called a hard T to pronounce this second letter, which is the bait. They use a soft T, which is pronounced base. Whereas the South American and African Jewish descent would call it a bet. Bet or base. So you could have a word like house, which is pronounced by some Jews as bias and others as bayit. Both are correct. Sometimes confusing if the reader of the Torah from another congregation or Jewish descent community that uses, let's say, the pronunciation bait, and he's reading the Torah and he pronounces base, it would be considered by the congregation to be correct. In this world, the world of lies, it's tough for the novice to differentiate between the truth and the lie. One must know the truth to recognize it, and to do that, one must turn away from the evil in the lie. The truth is discrete. It is one channel. Everything else is a variation of it, or a complete objection to it. The truth of the Torah, while in a state of concealment, must remain private. Masters of the discipline are not allowed to use their powers publicly, or for that matter privately, without heavenly intent. For example, everyone has a hero, and when a hero does something, it affects the inspired person in a deep and meaningful way. The Makubal, the Kabbalah master, does what he does privately, and the effects are later revealed in the world as a mystery or a miracle. The same is true in the physical world, with secular heroes being drawn into the flames of the truth of the Torah. Let's take Madonna, for example. She's a hero to millions of teenage girls and boys. Let's say tens of millions of people all around the world, adults and children. In her videos, her music videos, and live in concert, Madonna dances in a gross manner, touching her own body in a very immodest way, on stage, wearing outfits that literally would make any prostitute proud. Her fans know about her sexual deviance, and her relationships are common knowledge, even published in many of the newspaper, shall we say, rags. Many of the pure youth are influenced to praise, glorify, and follow Madonna's hedonistic behavior by example. Heaven help. That cause and effect is in itself an evil sin that can be qualified as a sin that causes others to sin. It is a perpetual and ongoing viral type of sin. After all, that individual is following everything they can about their hero and trying to live up to their hero's expectation. Madonna does not exemplify any of the first principle in Torah of turning away from evil, not in her public presence anyway. Since it was mentioned, let's delve deeper into the facade of Madonna, the Kabbalist and her friends over at the Berg Center for a second. There's no intended disrespect to the pop star, only to what she is publicizing. Although it must be stated first that she is not known to be of Jewish descent, nor has she any Orthodox conversion that anyone knows of. Her spiritual leader is not considered by Jewish courts as an authority in Kabbalah, or for that matter, a rabbi or authority in Torah in general. He's considered by them to be completely unaffiliated with and having absolutely no credentials anywhere in the Jewish Orthodox world. I do not know Mr. Berg, but I do know I would never consider him to be my rabbi, nor would I ever learn any Torah from him, because he is no sort of spiritual leader for me, nor would I ever recommend him to anyone Jewish or other. With that said, anyone involved over there at the Berg Center should remember a resounding principle in Torah, which states, no matter what reason or how a person becomes involved in Torah, eventually, with enough involvement, the reason for involvement will become for the right reason, namely lishma, for the sake of heaven itself, and they will no longer be learning over there at the center, the Kabbalah Center as it's called. By this principle, eventually Madonna will go find a more authentic teacher, and if indeed she has a Jewish soul, which is doubtful, yet unknown, she will have to convert into Jewish orthodoxy in the correct and approved upon manner. This, of course, would mean that she could no longer perform before men, and that her wardrobe would maintain complete modesty. And if she does not have a Jewish soul waiting above, she could and should be satisfied with the level of a righteous Gentile. The best suggestion for her would be, go find a nice Chabad house in your neighborhood and consult with the Rebbe's emissary there. For now, poor Madonna continues her involvement in Mr. Berg's controversial group. Since this group is not an authentic Torah-based movement, it is quite fair that most people consider it to be a cult with a guru and a brainwashing mechanism. Madonna should already be doubtful and suspicious about the blessings that she is getting, even though she may feel that she is growing spiritually and getting closer to God by serving under Berg. The longer she continues to pray to God, the sooner her false messiah will be revealed as an imposter. Now, when this very Mr. Berg begins to practice his book sales for the sake of heaven, selling only kosher books in a kosher manner, he'll be the first and loudest one to direct his customers and students, along with himself, to the nearest Chabad house for authentic rabbinic advice. Sometimes people join questionable organizations, even to the point of being frequently recruited. For some people, the slavery aspect never clicks. These individuals enjoy a level of soul that reveals to them the lack of truth in what they bow down to. Other peoples are sucked into these bottomless pits of evil and become lost forever. It could be said about cults in general, their leaders wait and watch, knowing the vulnerable point, vulnerable to the techniques of persuasion, vulnerable to attack. The leaders of these cults wait like a vulture at prey. Madonna was attacked when she started studying Kabbalah. Back when she got pregnant, she was drained from producing and starring in her self-produced movie Elvita. While looking around desperately for some place to plant her feet on the ground, she had her vulnerable moment and trusted someone to lead her. Fortunately, when a person is a hero and role model, headlining the daily media, rumors tend to fly. Like the Elizabeth Taylor, Roseanne, Sandy Gallen, Britney Spears seem to have the same vulnerable disposition along their spiritual search for the truth and have involved themselves with the above-mentioned offshoot variation and bastardization of the authentic ancient holy system. These ladies were recruited into the group and offered passes for membership on a friend-to-friend basis. By definition, turning away from evil has an opposite direction. When approached, offering to help their friends, claims of a newfound illuminating experience, which includes lofty meditations and powerful chants, the process begins. For sure, Madonna was sincere when recruiting her friend Britney Spears, probably believing that she was doing a mitzvah, a good deed. Many of these sad stories surrounding watered-down approaches to the truth turn out to be quite damaging experiences. In the beginning, Britney Spears was videotaped and reported wearing what the press and media called trendy religious trademarks. That famous red string bracelet tied up around the wrist, almost staged. She was seen carrying around some Kabbalah books. The press was reporting on a spawned friendship that was forged on public demonstration displaying televised passionate kiss between Madonna and Britney. The two famous women of America. Now, God knows, and the world is seeing, that nothing on such an impure foundation could ever stand to represent holiness.